So, quick follow-up of my initial impressions video, since I had a few days time to look into more details. So let's start right away. On Thursday, what I actually found was the documentation. So I found the management tool that Charachorder provides, which I will show you in a second. And I also had to switch computers. I eventually ended up at Mac, which you can see by the color of these buttons here. But now I'm connected via a KVM switch that allows me to have the Charachorder available on multiple computers. But it's still different from my main machine. So my main machine was a Linux one. And as one of the first tests to access the management software, I actually tried Debian with Chromium, and a Chromium-based browser is a requirement for the management tool to work, which I personally don't really like, but I guess it's just a technical limitation. I tried to avoid Chromium-based browsers for, well, personal reasons, but I would also never install Google Chrome, so I had to revert to something like Chromium. Which, funnily enough, again, didn't work out of the box. I had to set up some Arduino stuff, which is all explained in the documentation, but I didn't want to bother, so I tried a Mac instead, and that's why I ended up here. On a Mac, I tried Chromium via Homebrew, so Homebrew to install Chromium. It didn't work, but that was it is a problem with the Mac, I guess. I'm currently using ungoogled Chromium, and that worked out of the box. Third, that's an interesting one. The keyboard I'm currently using, which is the Moonlander by ZSH, which I will actually also talk about for the next day. But the Moonlander is also highly customizable, and I did actually not have an escape key on the same layer as the I key, which means I wasn't able to do this, escape an I, to program a chord on the fly, so to say, which was a bit annoying. So I had to put the escape button onto the layer to basically become able to use the shortcut. I mean, you could obviously set up a combination for one key so that you don't need to press the chord, so to say, on the Moonlander, but I didn't bother. Just a thing I experienced. So then what was really annoying is as I said in the previous video, the Charachorder comes with a lot of chords already. Probably like 500, and these include words like do and he, which both tripped me up. Do is usually it's typed rather quickly, right? So you type do, and what happened was that the Charachorder engine was interpreting me pressing do quickly as I have entered a chord, and it was actually replacing do with do space. And if you don't expect that, that's pretty annoying. And if you want to write something else like don't, that's even more annoying, because it eventually will basically break the word that you were writing. And if you usually look at the screen anyways when typing, I would say, so it wasn't a problem. I recognize this, but it's obviously a timing issue again, which I didn't address yet, but my takeaway is basically short chords like this, where let's say the word or the chord is pretty close to the word you want to write, is not really helpful, at least for me. Same with the. So I was typing T and then HE fast again, and it actually deleted the complete word the and replaced it with he space. And that's even well, it's similarly annoying, but I would say it's even more annoying than the do scenario, because it destroyed my word and would destroy the whole meaning of the sentence I was writing. Again, I just delete the HE chord. And now to one of the good things. After switching computers, obviously, or more or less obviously, I only have the Charachorder available on one of the machines. The main machine, again, is not connected via the KVM switch, and the other machines I'm currently using, like the Mac, they are. And switching between them is already becoming annoying if I don't have this chording functionality available anymore. This is somewhat of a good thing, obviously, because I'm already used to doing it, and I do like it, and I want to use it more. And like switching the USB device back and forth is just annoying. So yeah, that's basically why I'm not doing it, but I'm already missing it on the computer that doesn't have the device. So coming to Friday. Oh wait, let me see. I'll quickly go into the software, which you can find at manager.charachorder.com. This is what will basically await you, and it says no device connected. But when you click here and then the connect button, it will show you which Charachorder devices you have connected. For me, it's a Charachorder X, as mentioned. So you click connect, and that's basically it. It's loading all the chords that I've currently configured, and allows you to have, well, to access other settings as well. You seemingly can use multiple layers that are then part of the Charachorder device, as opposed to multiple layers on the keyboard, right? Which not all keyboards have, obviously, but since I'm using the Moonlander, I do already have multiple layers set up on the keyboard. But now I have extra layers on the device, on the USB device, and basically let's say I must not confuse that, right? So if I were to set up the same key to switch layers on the device and on the keyboard, there is obviously a conflict. So I don't even know what would happen. Probably the last device in the chain would take precedence. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to speculate. Yeah, what you can also do is update the firmware, for instance, which I already did. The software came in version 1.1.2 and I updated to 1.1.4. It was very simple, actually. But yeah, I also won't go into that detail. Yeah, I will get back to this chord overview here. One thing that's rather interesting, what you can see here as well. So I will just throw that in real quick. I programmed the chord always to ALW. And interestingly enough, when you enter the word that's supposed to be outputted for your chord, you see that what is happening. I mistyped. So I typed ALFA, but I obviously wanted to type WA. So I deleted backwards twice, which is now part of the output. And that's a bit ridiculous, right? Because obviously, like, this means you cannot make a mistake in the output that you want to assign to a particular chord. And if you do that, you have, like, if you don't want that, you have to start over, I guess. Right? So this is super, super odd, right? It would, like, if I imagine how the engine is handling this, it will literally output ALFA, backspace internally, obviously, then put the word back together with waste at the end, and then paste it or something like this. Yeah, it's just extra processing time, which is obviously very little, but still, it looks weird, right? Like, why would the visual representation of the output include backspaces? Maybe there are, and well, I hope so, likely there are use cases for it, but yeah, I can't imagine. So, continuing with Friday. Interestingly enough, I mentioned in the previous video that my Kinesis Advantage 2 only allows me to use 4 characters plus shift, or I guess any other modifier, to insert chords. For the Moonlander, it doesn't. I can have more. I didn't test the limits, but 5 characters were no problem. So seemingly this is indeed an issue with my kinesis, and you may or may not have a similar experience. So it depends on your keyboard, I would say, how many characters you can use for a chord. Which will also mean any chord I'm programming on the Moonlander, which has more than 4 characters, I cannot use on my kinesis anymore. Yeah, updating the firmware was super easy. You basically you have to set it into bootloader mode, which is which you do here. So you click this and then bootloader, which allows you to access the device on your Finder or any other Explorer type tool. You just save a new firmware file on it, you eject, reconnect, and that's already it. But everything's explained in the documentation. Yeah, I mentioned this already, that I had to use the Chromium-based browser. That was a little bit annoying, and I eventually ended up on a Mac, which, yeah, you may or may not have available. I mean, on Windows it should work out of the box as well. Linux is more tricky. For the last point, I don't want to open this because the way I explained it, it was a little bit complicated, but the point is the following. So with this overview of the chords now available, the good thing is that you can search for chords. I ran into an issue though when I wanted to create the chord for mechanism. I added the chord ACEM or MECA, so mecha, short form for mechanism, and there was already a chord configured called came, right? So the word came was already configured to this exact chord. And when you want to save a chord in the Charachorder, so you click this and then you can also enter a chord and an output, it will tell you when there's a conflict. But when you want to search ACME, you see it doesn't find the chord, which is super annoying. So you have to, even though this is exactly the chord that I entered, right? It should actually give me any chord that it finds based on whatever I enter, right? If I were to say MECA, it should give me the chord, right? Mechanism. So yeah, that is a little bit annoying because I want to maybe just get reminded about certain chords that I have for a particular position of my hands or something like this. So it would be awesome to have a proper search for chords as well, and chords that I want to see whether they already exist. That would also be more easily findable if I could just fuzzy search the chords. So yeah, that's basically it. And yeah, let's see whether I come up with new findings, which I'm actually pretty sure about, with so much settings that are also available. So yeah, see you in the next one.